I'm gonna speak what I want to say before I do the research. And I know some of my knowledge right now is definitely limited. And then I'll include some B-roll and some screenshots or snapshots or whatever. But the Apple's Vision Pro, I'm not going to buy them. Like I have no desire to have one of those. I don't have any of the Meta Quest Pros or anything that just needs to be stuck on my face. For game purposes, at some point, I might buy something like for fun, maybe, a Meta Quest Pro or something. I might buy, but right now I have not purchased any of it. And even the ones that aren't the Apple ones, for the most part, I think that they're decently affordable, but Apple's version of it is $3,500. And honestly, I don't even care about that. Like that's not the point of me making this video. Um, my issue is that for those who will be able to choose to buy it, which is definitely going to most likely be a lot less than those who have other forms of those types of devices, is how you go about creating content for it. So yeah, I know you can record stuff, like you can wear it, you can record things, and now you have that 3D spatial video or whatever. And then you can use your iPhone to create spatial video as well. And to my knowledge, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but there are only certain phones that allow you to create that video. And right now, you have the 15 Pros, and I think that's it. And it's because they have that dual stacked camera as opposed to this being a regular 15, and the cameras are diagonal. And I gotta say this, because, again, I'm saying this before I should have done the research, but I just didn't feel like it. Just wanted to talk right now. All of yes, I'm going to say something that's so obvious that you're going to be like, yeah, dumb. No shit. How planned this was. Something as simple as camera placement. And then saying, all right, now only these devices are capable of shooting that spatial video. So your 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max, 3 cameras. So I think 2 right here, and then the third one down here at the bottom, I believe is the orientation, or the third one on I don't know. But you have at least 2 stacked cameras. But wait a minute, isn't the 14 Pro Max also oriented the same way? That you have these 3 cameras stacked? And then, of course, the regular 14 has the diagonal cameras. Then you go back to the 13, same thing. The Pro cameras are stacked, and the regular cameras on the Pros, the regular cameras on the non-Pros are diagonal from each other. But when you get back to the 12s, you now have stacked cameras for the regular devices. And yeah, the 3, and it's only 2 cameras. And for the Pros, you have 3 cameras in that L orientation. And I believe for the 11 series, and I don't remember for the 10Ss or the 10s, or for the 10S, 10S Max, and the 10R. I don't remember, and I'll put those stuff on the screen right now. But all that to say, I'm confident right now, not doing any research, which, again, by the time that you are hearing this, the stuff will have been looked up, and I could have done a quick Google search. But I think on Apple's page, it'll tell you why only the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max are capable of doing this. And one of those reasons is because of the orientation of the cameras. And going from the 12 to the 13, where they made that switch, from a user perspective, a user standpoint, I don't think there was a difference. Like, I don't think anything really changed except the orientation of the camera from, stacked to horizontal, diagonal from each other. And that was just one of the things that allowed you to differentiate between 12 and 13. From a user's perspective, Apple just doing stuff to change things. But no, I'm sure they were like, we don't want to have to backport this feature, this ability to shoot in spatial video, if we know that the reasoning that we're doing this, or the way that we are able to accomplish it, is having a stacked camera array. Because, yeah, it would have been like, oh, wait a minute, Apple. All of your cameras since the 10R or since the 10S's have had that same orientation. So what's the difference? And of course, you might say, well, it's now physical camera limitations. I don't know. But from what I can see, they were just like, no, we don't. The 14s are diagonal. The non-15, the regular 15s are diagonal. Let's just start at the pros. And we'll say that the pro can do it and the regular can't do it because the regular is diagonal, but the pro has those two stacked cameras. And it's just a bunch of BS, you know? And if, for instance, let's say the iPhone 12 were no longer supported by Apple, then I'd say, yeah, it makes perfect sense. You're just not supporting the device anymore. But because you are still supporting the device, and the cameras on the regular 12s are in that stacked orientation, I should be able to shoot spatial video with it. Whatever shenanigans they're doing in terms of depth, capturing depth information, they could do it. They definitely could. But they're not going to. And yeah, it's the perfect ploy. Like, hey, let's just make these things diagonal. And even though the 12s are not diagonal, they're so old at this point that people shouldn't expect to be able to shoot spatial video with them. And it's disappointing. And again, even with that same mindset of stacked camera arrays, the 14 Pros and the 13 Pros have a stacked camera array. And to my knowledge, they will not be able to shoot the spatial video. So yeah, just additional limiting factors that Apple is just going to slap on just because they can. And I'm sure they're like, oh, well, if you're buying this, you probably have a Pro or Pro Max 15 anyway. So yeah, the people buying regular 15s, they're not interested in this particular type of experience. And while that might be true for a lot of people, I think the whole point of Apple allowing you to shoot the spatial video with the phone anyway is that, yeah, today you might not care about it, but in a couple years you might, because you record the videos, you upload them to a cloud or back them up somewhere. And yeah, you might, whether it's get a Vision Pro or another device that's capable of playing back the spatial video, you might then say, oh, wow, yeah, these types of devices are now affordable. And I wish back when my child was younger or when I was on that vacation or whatever, I wish I could now be immersed in the experience. But no, Apple's just going to be like, nope, 15 Pros and additional Pros later. It would not surprise me. In fact, no, from the renders that I've seen online, yeah, the 16s are going to go back to a stacked array. And now it's like, okay, all of the 16s, so the 16 and the Pros will all have some at least two stacked cameras and then a third camera most likely for Pro devices. And it's like, okay, yeah, we'll do that. But I don't like it because the 14 Pro should be able to do it. And even if we just limit it to Pro devices, the 14 Pro should be able to do it. And then, yeah, the 13 Pro should be able to do it as well. And, again, I'll do the research after I shoot the video, but I think it's just a little disappointing, just to say the least. But it's Apple, so what all do you expect?